7:27 a.m. Tampa, Florida East 33605. Friday, January the 24th in the year of 2025. This has been happening for quite some time. I don't know. I guess I addressed both of you. Mahogany Black. Someone that resembled you came and sat down next to Angola, put a book bag down next to her while we were eating at a church on, let me see, I don't know the name of that street, but in Hyde Park, Presbyterian Baptist Church. They got flooded, so their inside was being remodeled, and they started having services out in the courtyard. And the way you sat close to her was really unnerving. But it's for people who are in between homeless. And, well, I guess it's really for homeless people. We're no longer homeless. We've been in a house for 18 months. However, because we don't have the things we need to cook our own food, we still rely on those services to help feed us. Now, I'm assuming she's supposed to be a mahogany look-alike, and somebody came and took pictures or something. She had a book bag. She sat right close to Angola, and it felt really weird. And this is what I tell myself and my children about these instinctual abilities. When something feels weird, get up, leave. But I didn't do that. So I'm going to work backwards. Prior to that, I was at the laundromat, and someone that looked like Mahogany Black came. And I was like, there's no way that's Mahogany. But it could have been, because I meant, shit, I ain't seen you in what? Probably 18 years. You and Sensei, well, you and Clarence, y'all disappeared about the same time. So that was I passed the $20 test on my YouTube feed. The lady that came to the laundromat went and got me some bleach and came back. Okay, so now, walking backwards, a black man who resembles John Waldron and could really resemble East. I mean, I haven't seen him in 18 years, so I don't know what he looks like now. Well, I really believe that was Sensei that got on the bus. Whenever I say Sensei, I mean Clarence Joseph Washington Jr., my Sensei. I'm still saying my Sensei. Like, okay, well, I'm not going to fight it. I was really thankful for the information that you imparted upon me, but y'all some sinister, y'all some real crooks. And all I can say is, wow, I am in awe to the level that you all go to hide your crookism. But y'all probably done killed plenty of people, if it be told. And this is just my personal opinion, so I ain't got no proof. And they done already called me crazy, right? And you helped them try to, well, you helped them take my children. There's no way around it. You had to be a part of my twins being kept by the system, whatever you were saying. And let me just continue on with the story and not get into these sidebar stories that I like to tell. So this guy seems like he first appeared at the St. Peter Claver Catholic Church. Seems like he first appeared the day that I got deathly ill. Pastor Eva was there. And I associate her to be connected to Thomas Stewart because that's where I met her during a storm years ago. Let's see, what year was that? 2020 Irma, after Irma. Okay, God, you help me. 2020. I don't think it was 2020, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15. 2015? I'm going to say maybe 2018. I was in between jobs. Had I started working at Micon Box Company yet? I had been let go from Micon. Okay, so 2018. Tina Fernandez and Anthony Atkins were living in Summerfield Golf Course community. So for the FBI, CIA, U.S. Marshals, DEA, DOJ, like that, you investigative agencies. I'm giving you a timeline. I can't remember the year, but if you were to look at the lease for Anthony Atkins or Tina Fernandez, they were living out in Summerfield. So leave that there or walk it back. Okay, so let's see. Set graduated last year in 2024. USF Sundome. If that was a real graduation and wasn't staged. I'm learning these people create events that don't actually exist. You can be standing in court thinking that you are attending a court date when it's all moot, mock, fake. They done paid the courthouse to use the room and, paid the prospective people to put on a show. So that was 2023. She left on her birthday and moved with Nadia. She stayed over there for a year, so she graduated August 2024 at USF Sundome. Angola and Abby went. I didn't. They told me that Auntie Ava and Alba were there. Auntie Alba gave them a ride out of the campus to the bus station. Anthony was there. And in the pictures, a set looked just like Tina. So that's when I realized, oh wow, Tina probably does black magic too. That destiny swapping and beauty magic and all of that stuff. My child looked just like Tina Fernandez. Okay, so that was 2024, the graduation. 2023, a set left Pepin Academy and moved over to Nadia's house from the Good Samaritan Inn, where I was struggling to pay $17, $18 a day to Miss Pat, Rick, John Waldron. Oh shit. John Waldron was dealing with the Good Samaritan Inn while a set was living there. What was his role? Was he lying and saying he was her grandfather, father, uncle, godfather? Why would he be interacting with our business? Should I stop to try to figure that out or keep on with my timeline? Keep on with the timeline. Okay. 2023, she left there. So go back. 2020, we were evicted June 2nd, 2022. Hmm. 2021, Johnny Will Lofton. I went to his house after Lawrence allegedly died of COVID, which was July 13th of 2020. 2020, 2019. I was trying to get away from that man's house. Tia invited JJ to dinner, their Christmas party dinner, and around Christmas time, JJ was scrambling to buy those little $30 discounted Busch Garden tickets for Christmas for my children. Was that in 2018? 2019. So 2018. Can't remember 2018. 2018. Moving through my memory bank. 2018. 2018. I was leaving Miss Ann's house, or that's when I was at Dr. Mubain's little apartment across from Ann. Yes. And while working at Trinity Hospital, overnight night watch, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., and allowed my children to play in the yard, according to Sky. Now, Sky was out there talking to Anthony and, what's that lady name? Tina Fernandez. So they might have come up with a little plan to get custody of my children so they could get money, or just to kill my stability and get me out of my own place to make it look like I couldn't hack it. So Sky is a heroin addict that got into a car accident, and from the car accident, her doctor gave her pain pills. She got addicted to the pain pills, and from the pain pills, she got addicted to heroin. That's what Sky told me. Prior to that, she was a working woman, had a couple of property, a couple of cars. Her children and her husband were an intact family. Okay, so now back to me working through pace setters for Trinity Hospital and them calling DCF. I started working, and I guess that was too much like right, and they sabotaged that for me. So DCF was called, and I was now living across the street. I remember Alva kept looking for us. We were doing well, and Alva kept looking for us, and she finally found us riding through the community. Whenever my oldest sister Alva appears, I'm always going to have problems. It's weird how people tell you you're the problem. Then when you leave and don't come back, they come looking for you. So why would you come looking for a problem? I've always been the solution. And they've always tried to make it seem like I was the problem. 1444 on the timer, 14 minutes 44 seconds when I said that. Um, so Sky told me the lady next door called DCF and reported that the children were outside playing at 9, 10 o'clock at night in the yard. Now, to me, that's not enough to open an active investigation. So I now believe there's much more to that story. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. So that had to be right around the time that I don't know. So let's do this. Oh, Divine Creator, clear the energetic pathway on behalf of my family, my womb seed, my support team, and my dog family. We ask you to clear the energetic pathway, cutting cords and contracts, known and unknown. Return to sender all hexes and curses. Return the curses back to the requester, sender, the payer, and all maleficent factors. Reverse, reverse, reverse. Back to the sender goes the curse. We ask you to please go through all dimensions, all timelines, all lifetimes, and everything that is ours by divine right in every form that it exists. We ask that you would please return it back to us. 1 zillion fold times 1 zillion fold times 1 zillion fold times 1 zillion fold times 1 zillion fold. In the name of Jesus, pleading the blood of Jesus all over this request, I pray. Amen. And Hotep. Okay. So the whole point of everything that I'm saying is I've been trying to figure out why this man keeps appearing and sitting next to me. And it is because you all have been sending him in as an actor to sit next to me, and you've had people to take pictures and maybe even had attorneys to request the video footage from these churches to show and prove that you and I are together, Clarence, right? Now, when you got on the bus, that would have been last year, and I'm assuming that was you. I mean, it energetically felt like you. You had on a hat and all gray, tall and skinny. It looks like you. I don't know. You didn't say anything. So maybe you just needed to get on the bus and make it appear that we were together. I should have got up and moved to the back of the bus, but I didn't. Tansy Lisnett Hammond kept trying to convince me that Sensei works with me at Buffalo Wings out at Britain Plaza. And when she said Sensei and work, I was like, girl, you out your ever loving mind. Those two words don't go together. Now, I didn't know you all were a con artist family. That would have made things really easy for me when Natalie Renee Carnegie begged me to be a part of this hood thing back in, what was that, 2000 and, let's see, I gave birth to the daughter we have in common February 25th of 2007. DCF took her, brought her back 24 hours later. They messed up her name. They named her Angolia with an I when she is named Angola after the country in Africa. And what else was distinctive about that? If I gave birth to her in February, that means I got pregnant in 2006. September, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Mm-mm. August. I was pregnant when my mom was in the hospital, sick with leukemia, but I got pregnant for you twice. The first time, you said, let's have lessons in the backyard, and we pulled out my mat, and you flipped me, and that created a abortion, a miscarriage. And I remember being pregnant when I went to see my mom in the hospital, feeling nauseous, wondering if I should tell her I was pregnant or not. Would that break her, or would that give her the will to fight? And I remember when I was pregnant with the twins, she said, "Who in the world would want twins?" I said, "Me, I prayed for twins." So, based on her comment to me, when I was pregnant with the twins, which was further back in 2003, I decided not to complicate her illness by telling her I was pregnant again. So I didn't tell her I was pregnant. Now, my mom died July 14th of 2006. You were there during her illness. I remember when she said to you, "Are you going to take care of my daughter?" And you said, "Yeah, if she lets me." And you all kept shifting eyes like there was something to it. I still don't know what that is. Um, I still don't know what that is. Now, when Natalie came to me, do I need to go that far back? When Natalie came and said, "Hey, Aileen, let's do this hood thing." And she had talked to your hood before, Ama, Asia, and Saida was deceased. Do I say that part? According to what she told me, you beat Saida, and as a result, she had a aneurysm that later burst, not at the same time that you all were fighting. And I want to say fighting because when men beat on women, that's not a fight. Maybe Saida fought you back, but you are a sensei and your hands are lethal weapons, so that wouldn't be considered a fight. That would be considered you beating one of your wives. Saida allegedly died, and she had two babies for you. I think it's two girls. When we met in Deltona, your daughter from Saida still had her little pinky fingers, her polydactyl, let's see, many fingers hanging off of her pinky. And I was like, wow, how have you been able to make it through life without them falling off or getting caught in something or yanked out? Because Angola also had the polydactyl extra fingers on her pinkies. But my grandmother, Irene, I'm alleging, burned her fingers to try to twist and take them off. I was out at Aunt Mary's house in Winter Haven. Mary was dying of liver cancer and went outside for something to get some fresh air or something. You know, when old people get together and talk, they just, criticize. "Ooh, you got so fat, you didn't got so dark. Ooh, your hair so nappy." That's how old people catch up. They see everything that's wrong with you. Um, I think they were having one of those moments, and I went outside. When I came back in because my daughter was screaming, I was like, "What's wrong?" And my grandma Irene, she would do slick things and then act like she didn't know what was happening. And Auntie Mary didn't rat her out, but I grabbed my baby. My baby was crying. I took my baby from my grandma. My baby was crying. and her little extra finger looked really red, and it died and fell off. So my grandmother kept saying, "You need to take that off that baby. That's gonna mess that baby up in life." And these old people, they know how to get things done that they feel needs to take place. The other, no, that was Abby's. Do I need to talk about that? No. Okay, let's stay focused with Angola. So eventually, both of her small fingers ended up falling off. And we're talking about Angola, who was named by the system as Angolia, IA instead of A. And they said she was born March 18th or 19th. Alva called the Department of Children and Families on me and reported that I gave birth at home. First, she called the fire station. They came and they were in awe. They were like, "You gave birth to this baby today?" Because she was big, healthy, and beautiful. That's what happened when you put in good stuff, alkaline water, Kangen, Kangen water, usually pH balanced. I'm buying that 9 water, 8, definitely between 8 and 9 pH balance from Chuck's Whole Foods store. They have a machine back there, and you bring your bottle and you can fill it up, and then they charge you by the gallon. And there were a couple of other places we could get the canyon water from. I was taking Floridex, natural, non constipating iron. I was taking Rainbow Light vitamins. And during my pregnancy, Sensei East did a great job. I got my full body massages regularly. I mean, not, 20 minutes, like 2 hours. The man has phenomenal hands. And we got along really well. We talked like we knew each other for forever, and time flew by. It was never a labored time. And so my circulation was really, really top notch. I was still practicing 15 low hand and jujitsu. And we were having classes at my home at 6010 North 32nd Street. And Sensei East had assembled some of his past students, about 6 or 7 of them. And we were practicing in the backyard and having a really good time. The police appeared down the 30th Street, short 30th Street, in the back of our house. There's a curved street that is called 30th Street Short. They may have changed the name, but the police used to sit in the back and watch us have the karate class. Now, I always thought it was just because of the karate class, but now that I'm going through what I'm going through, I realize Sensei East and Wesley Allen, his brother, the astrologer, y'all might have conned somebody back then, and the police checking on y'all. Maybe that lady's house in Lakeland that you were looking to renovate and move in. I remember we went to the Lakeland city building department or something, and her son appeared. And you were telling me that the lady donated the house to the Kingdom of Doing, and her son was upset about her wishes to donate the house to you guys, and he was there to stand in opposition of you all taking ownership of the house. So now that I'm going through what I'm going through, maybe something shady did go on. I'm going to do the best I can do to be diplomatic, but to just be honest, really. If you conned me, I meant you conned me. You did a good job. I believed in you. And I don't know, I'm still thinking that was real, right? Like it felt real. So maybe feelings for me were real, but you're in no position to be able to admit that they were real, to admit that you loved me or still love me, and that you loved our daughter and you still love her, but life didn't allow you to be able to remain with us. So, because of probably your lack of education, your lack of stability, you went off to play house with some woman that had money and a house that you live in and not have problems. Because we were trying to develop a hood at the requesting of my best friend. I told her I don't want to marry Sensei East. I want to be in a hood. He kind of scares me. Interviewed by Amma and Asia years prior when they were living in Lakeland, and I'm afraid. So I'm perfectly happy with him being my sensei east. I'll learn loads of information. I get my massages, and life is great for me. And for my fat friend Natalie Renee Carnegie, I delved into trying to be more. I even considered going to New York with you all to take Ibu game. It's just my fear of becoming addicted to things. I've part two. Am I still on live? I'm still on live. 32:32 on the timer. So I don't try things. And that's the reason I didn't try gain. I didn't know. You all were telling me that I had to be under a 24-hour watch after taking the herb. It was supposed to dissolve trauma of your past and open gateways in your synapses in the brain and help you to become clear minded and a just powerhouse. And it sounded good, but I'm not what much for soundings. I'm that person that hangs back and waits 5 or 10 years to see how a thing works out after I go interview at least 3 people that have experienced that thing. So I'm not that pioneer that forges forward and tries things first. So I said no to the Ibu game. And but I told Natalie I'm not marrying nobody in polygamy. Um, why is cult on my tongue? Cult type arrangement that I call Sensei East. I require meeting his family. So Natalie arranged to rent a car, and I put my grandmother Melva in. She was living with me at 6010 North 32nd Street, and she was under hospice because my dad had just recently passed away from, I'm going to say allegedly, cirrhosis of the liver. Do I say what I feel? No. So keep that withheld. And under hospice, if you need a break or a vacation, hospice will pay for 3 to 10 days. Your loved one who's under hospice, for them to go stay in a nursing home just temporarily while you take a break. So I took advantage of that option and I put my grandmother temporarily in a nursing home over in Temple Terrace. And we struck out to go visit Galveston, Texas, Hitchcock, to visit Sensei East's family. And I've always been kind of like the statistician, the historian of the family. So I document things. I got plenty of tapes on my VHS-C or my high 8 camcorder. I can't remember which one. And I documented the entire ordeal. Natalie drove and Sensei drove because I'm not much for driving. It makes me sleepy. The trees, they pass by, they hypnotize me and lull me to sleep. So I prefer to curl up in the back, take a nap, and that's what I mostly did. Excuse me, pardon the yarning. Yawning. Okay, so we got there. Things seemed to be okay. Natalie and Sensei were always arguing back and forth. Now, why did they fall out to the point of him leaving her at the gas station? I remember we went and met Sensei's sister that is addicted to heroin. We even met his oldest two children. He has a girl and a boy that are much older and like Asia's children. Asia has 10 heads of children for him. I don't know how many hoods he's been in. I'm assuming Asia, Amma, and Saida was the first one. Once he got into that philosophical track of life, the first marriage seemed to be straight out of high school, a traditional marriage, and he had two children, and I'm assuming they divorced. I'm assuming they divorced because I don't remember why. I'm assuming they divorced. I can't remember all the conversations we had. So I now think that the argument that Sensei and Natalie had, him leaving her in Texas, was staged, and maybe that was to make me feel like he loved me more and um, set me apart. But I wasn't in it for the love. I was in the whole arrangement so that we could establish resource centers for young children to have a place to come to and get help with their educational weaknesses. And Sensei East was going to open a dojo so children could learn martial arts. That was my whole purpose. So I was kind of on the outskirts of all of this. Natalie was talking to the sister wives of the hood before, and she came back telling me all kind of crazy stuff. And should I say that like that? I felt like because Natalie was grossly, morbidly obese, that she was lying to um, gain an advantage. Should I say what she told? She was suggesting that one of the wives told her that one of the children said he touched her inappropriately around her vaginal area. And I told you about the Saida argument event that she told me about. Now, let's fast forward. We went to Texas, we met his people, and on the way back from Texas, Natalie Renee Carnegie and my sensei, whose government name, allegedly, if it's even true, is Clarence Joseph Washington Jr., had an argument. She went in to get gas, and he drove off and left her at a gas station in Texas. I begged and pled for him to go back and pick her up, and he just kept driving to Tampa. We came back to my house. He parked the car outside. Eventually, Natalie got a ride from Texas, came back. Maybe she had reported the car stolen. Did they get my name mixed up in that? No, she reported the car stolen and gave his name. Yes. So when we got back to my house to settle in, Natalie talked to my oldest sister, Alva. And for some reason, my sister started saying she didn't want East there because he came to try to take a estate. What if he's trying to take our estate? What if he's trying to take our estate? And I kept trying to figure out why she's saying this. So whatever Natalie said to her had her on edge. My brother was arguing, and he's like, you don't have a house. This is your house. You can't invite him to live there. Alva already had Brent living there with her. Okay. So Sensei coming to live with me didn't seem out of the question, but for me, I couldn't have a mate stay with me. And that was weird. So my brother started arguing, and he said he was coming to clear the house. Now, my mom left the house to all of the children equally own 25%. It's four of us. Anthony's the oldest, then Alva, then me, then Ava. We all own 25% equally. So when he said he was coming to clear the house, I was explaining to Sensei East, now, more than just my sensei, now turned my mate, what was happening. And he said, I'm going to kill your brother. So I panicked. I was like, nah, I'm not with that domestic violence shit. I'm not with the fighting and arguing. So I said, I really need you to leave. And I didn't want him to leave, but I can let him kill my brother. At that time, I thought, my brother is a real pain, and he's not fit most of the time. He's my brother. So I sided with my brother over my mate, and he was very angry. The other option they were discussing was for us to move to Texas. And I was afraid of Sensei East, so I was going to move to Texas with him. One thing I could tell you, my healthy fear has allowed me to venture and do some things, but didn't allow me to venture very far. So while he was staying with me, he went and visited Tallahassee with Natalie. He came back. That argument took place, and it could have all been staged. Natalie could have staged that with my brother to force my hand, to force Sensei East's hand, and force our hands they did. So I stayed at my house. Sensei, I don't know if he moved back to Lakeland, or he moved to Tallahassee with Natalie, or he moved somewhere with Mahogany. Mahogany Black was renting a room from me at 6010 North 32nd Street for $50 a week. She appeared. Now I realize that she was sent. She didn't just appear. Now, Mahogany Black is a white collar thief. She changed her name from Angela something because she committed a white collar crime that sent her to prison. And I guess when she got out, she changed her name. And I'm assuming she had a son named Moshood, Moshood. He lived with us. She and Moshood lived in the room together. One night I came out, and Anthony and Mahogany were in the living room laying together on the floor as if they were a couple. They were spooning as if they had had sex or whatever. Now, I was angry because Mahogany became my friend. After she rented a room, she and I became friends. My children, my twins, were in DCF custody, and I was fighting to get them back. As an activist, I felt like my twins were in DCF custody as a revenge plot against me, forged by primarily Pam Iorio, which was our supervisor of election. Let me see, is that the right timeline? 2004 hanging chats. I'd have to Google the timeline of the Gore Bush election. Even before the Gore Bush election, I was talking that talk regarding police brutality, law enforcement brutality, because in Tampa, in the city of Tampa, in Hillsborough County, we have Hillsborough County Sheriff officers and Tampa police officers. So there's a combination of the two. Do I go to Google? Okay, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming Pam Aria was the supervisor of election. The hanging chat was around the same time. I'm having a difficult time remembering the timeline. But a reality speak show was definitely 2002, 2003, 2004. I remember that because after they kept my children, my twins, my boy girl fraternal twins at the hospital, Morton Plant Meese Hospital, um, the time that I recorded my Reality Speaks TV show at Speak Up Tampa Bay, the community TV station on North A or North B Street in Tampa, Florida. They would schedule my visits with my children around the same time. They knew I was traveling by bus because the police pulled me over, took my driver's license, and the same things just keep happening. And staged oh, you don't have insurance, and we're going to put you on your ass, basically. Take your driver's license and put you on the bus. And I was telling my daughter that I would be waiting on Heartline and they would skip the schedules. And the bus was supposed to come in 10 minutes. It would come in like 40 minutes. And they did that intentionally so that I could get to my visitations late. And Trish Waterman would be like, "Oh, you don't love your children. You don't want your children. You come to the meeting, to the visitations late." And I'm trying to explain the situation. And as a black, somewhat militant activist, there were many different factions that were working to make sure it appeared that I didn't care about my children and didn't want my children. And Heartline was a part of that. So I cast judgment on Heartline again. It's an unbelievable story, but these kind of conspiracies have been going on for many years. Now, with the phones and the technology, you can see more clearly how things take place. With several Dukas Takems, you can pull phone records quickly from people and piece together, see, they made that phone call to that person, that phone call to that person. I mean, literally everything that goes over these phone lines may be being captured by the Department of Homeland Security, and they can actually pull up the actual conversations. Now, for many of you all, you have a hard time believing that that could even be possible. Just like years ago, I was telling people just because you don't have your camera on doesn't mean they're not recording. I remember being in the car with Cherie and I'm bouncing around a little bit and she pulled outside of my house and she kept putting her camera up towards me. I said, please move your camera, lay your camera down. And she's like, oh, I don't have my camera on. I said, I know you don't have it on, but that doesn't mean the government doesn't have it on. And she said, you're not going to tell me how to hold my camera and hold my phone. That doesn't even make any sense. It's not on. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to get out your car and you leave my house and we'll just let this be it since you think I'm so crazy that I don't know what I'm talking about. And our so called friendship parted ways because I didn't want her aiming her camera at me because I understood that government had a feature in there that allowed it to still be recording, regardless of whether you activated the camera or not. The whole Department of Homeland Security, from what I understand, was established because homegrown terrorists, United States citizens who felt like they wanted to be hostile against their own government. So, what better way to pay attention to people and potential terrorists than to give them for free a phone that would allow them meaning the government, to listen in on poor people's conversations and frustrations so that if they heard key words, they could take a closer look before you had an entire Waco, Texas, and the Krishna. I can't remember the sect that had it out with the government. The who was that? They sent in the FBI and to that compound, and there were many deaths. So, in order to mitigate the damages of the country, it makes sense to give poor people a free phone, and it makes sense to put a couple of extra batteries inside of that phone that you are not privy to, and them think when it's dead, when really it's never dead. They may have put transmitters in there that allow for solar charging or some type of self fueling charging that allows that phone that seems dead to you to continue to charge itself and be a listening device for the government in an effort to keep our nation protected. Okay? So now I jumped around a little bit. Do I need to say who Cherie is? Cherie is a one of the flea market vendors from years ago who bought a house in a community with a home owners association, and they didn't want her in that community, so they came together to force her out of her home and to literally steal her home from her. Now, I tried to help her, but my life was being brought down because my Reality Speaks talk show, Cherie was encouraging me to run for state legislature, more than just the school board. the school board was where my heart was. That's where I wanted to be. And Cherie is much older than me. I'm 54. She's probably 74. And she was like, we have to get into these um, seats of power, Congress, U.S. representative, like that, so that we can make decisions about what we're going to do. And she wanted me to go back to the cable station and re up my Reality Speaks talk show. But it felt like something was not right about her desires and her zealousness. And so I felt like God was telling me to pump my brakes. And I pumped them. And I never joined her in. I don't think that stopped her from doing it. She went to the cable station and started taking classes. And I think she needed $1,000 to take one more class, and then she would graduate. And you had to do that in order to now host a show. So it's kind of like, in order to vote, you have to own land or you have to take a literacy test. Remember way back in history where they seem to, that's not very clandestine. They wanted to discourage, no, they wanted to block African Americans from voting. So they said, well, you have to own land to vote. Then at some point in history, you had to take a literacy test to vote. And if you know a little about chattel slavery, African Americans or the descendants of African people that were brought across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas to be used as forced labor to cultivate and develop America were forbade the option of learning to read. It was actually laws put in place to make it illegal to teach your slaves, um, African Americans, Africans from Africa, who we now consider to be African Americans today, to learn to read. So if you can't read, you can't take a literacy test, therefore you can't vote. All right, so you can Google these things. I don't want to get heavy into it. When I go too far down that the rabbit hole, I lose the story line that I was trying to tell. So let's go back over here to everything that started all of this. 59:09, a timer, almost an hour in. I am just realizing that a look-alike for Clarence Joseph Washington Jr. has been following me around for almost a year. So maybe they've been documenting that you and I are married. I don't know. I feel like it's connected to money, property, and because I know you're a Virgo. When is your date of birth? I'm trying to visually see August 23rd. I think your birthday is. I can't remember, but I know you're a Virgo. You're an earth sign. And you're very much money motivated. And I understand, based on your upbringing at 10 years old, you told me that your housing situation became iffy. And that's a long time, and that's extremely traumatizing. As a 10-year-old boy, you're supposed to be able to be in a house and know your room or your bed or your space in the bed is solid and stable. And at 10 years old, according to you, your housing became uncertain. And I guess that's one of the reasons when I think about you stealing from me, it's just like, yeah, well, what can you expect? He's still stuck at a 10-year-old child, you know, still trying to make sure he has a home of his own. And so now you probably have property with your name on it, even if you did steal it from me, right? I just keep praying and I try not to get myself emotionally involved because my flesh can get real stupid. I breathe, I deep breathe a lot. You know what you taught me? The deep breathing and I use those techniques a lot to say, God, if karma is a real science, I'm depending solely on you. I cannot get involved because you know how your girl can be. So if you stole property from me, if you lied and stole money from me, more than likely you all have been misusing our daughter's social security number and birth certificate. You probably have been lying, saying she lives with you. You may have even been taxing me for child support. My trust fund may have been paying you child support even though Angola has been with me since I pushed her out. Two pushes, 20 minutes in the bathroom at 6010 North 32nd Street on February 25th, 2007. It was a Sunday. I left the paper corner early. When you called, I said, hey, you and West need to come on back. I'm in labor. And you said, oh, I got to take care of some business. You have been taking care of that business for 18 years. I saw you a couple of times before our daughter turned 1 years old. And that was because cousin Toy offered to drive me out to the Lakeland Flea Market to find you. And you looked at her, and of course, you were looking at your twin. I had her on my back because I was practicing that Indian tradition where the first 6 months of a baby's life, their feet don't touch the floor. The child is always in pretty much the mother's arms. So I had different baby carriers where I could carry her in the front, where I could carry her on my back, but she was always an extension of me. So she is well rounded and well nourished as far as love goes. She has been close to a loving mother. So I want to say to you, you've been traumatized in so many different ways. As a grown man, it's okay to cry. And I really thought I was going to be a bosom for you to lay your head in and just cry and release that hurt and pain. You always tickled me and forced me to release my anger and frustration. And you used to say, release it, let it go, let it go. And in your presence, I really had a hard time because I was really angry about a lot of things back then. The massage helped a lot to release the anger for me. I believe that your intentions were good. I think that the structure of America and the lack of income, I'm going to go as far as to say forced you to do the illegal things that you did. And whenever you don't have faith and you don't believe that God will provide all of your needs, if your needs are not met, you're going to become a criminal. And so I do believe you all have been doing criminal things, fraudulent things, basically. Maybe go to this state and apply for food stamps, that state apply for food stamps, and then make a way out of defrauding the government. So I'm believing that you probably have done these things with your daughter's information, and maybe it has come to light because you all probably have been living off of this child's information. And then when I got evicted, things got so bad for me, I was forced, if I wanted to eat, to go and apply for food stamps. And maybe now that the federal government probably has unified all of its records into one database, that became a problem because, well, how can she be over here getting stamps under this name and social security number and in this state getting benefits, right? And that probably brought to light for the federal government that somebody's double dipping. Maybe they did some investigation and the child was with me, and all other cases with her name and number maybe were put under investigation. I don't know. All I know is whatever you have done, please do your daughter the kind gesture of not lying against her mother. Tell them the truth that you left the day that I gave birth to this child, February 25th, 2007, home birth at 6010 North 32nd Street, Tampa, Florida, 36110. I'm not dead. I'm not crazy. So clear up my name because, I don't deserve the foolishness. And enough years have passed by where you all should want to tell the truth. Give this child a good start for her 18th birthday. And do me a favor, you and your sister wives, whoever you may be connected to, whether that's Mahogany, whether that's Natalie, whether it's a new set, y'all leave my baby's social security number alone. She wants to go to college, and don't mess up her credit, you know? Allow her to move through life. She makes good choices, so she ain't gonna have no bad credit. She been raised well, thanks to my mother Dorothy, father Arthur Atkins, Dorothy Atkins. They left a paid for house where I could take my time and raise my child at 6010 32nd Street, Tampa, Florida 33610 mostly. Excuse me. Until my greedy siblings, I'm alleging, medically murdered my mom, who passed away before this child was born. And 2008, my brother deceived us, finagled us into getting a $30,000 loan against the property that my mother left paid off with Jervik Holdings. And I think my brother's intention, it out, was to defraud his sisters out of the property. So he intentionally did not keep the $352 mortgage paid. When we were signing the documents, they kept saying sign it and don't put a date on it. And I would sign one not dated, sign one and date it, because it felt wrong, because it was wrong. If you're signing something, the date that you signed it is supposed to accompany that thing. But I think they were doing that because my brother wanted to come back behind us and get another loan without our approval. Our approval. He didn't have to come back and get our approval because he was doing some slick shit with Jervix Holding. and it was a hard money lender, so the interest was higher than your normal lender because it was a high risk loan. So when it all came to a head, the loan now up to $125,000. So he had been going back and double dipping like that. And basically, he was just living off of getting loans against the property, letting it go into foreclosure. Somebody would file bankruptcy, or he would go and pay money to pull it out and to get another agreement. And he seemed to just be coasting and living a life that way. He won't let you see the financials. He won't let you see the records. He will trump up some documents and give them to you, but he's not going to allow you to get to the truthful documents. So I don't know if he's alive or dead because when he evicted four of my children, my nephew Alexander Malik Thompson and I, on June 2nd, 2022, he worked really hard to get that done. Officer Hillsborough County Sheriff Officer Say was at the door telling me that his supervisor contacted the chief judge of the 13th Judicial Circuit Court, and my motion to stay was denied, and I had to be put out. And they celebrated. There was four sheriff officers and Tampa police officers in my yard to evict me. They celebrated. They renovated the house, allegedly sold the house for $306,000. And then my sister Alva told me there's $19,000 waiting for me at the 13th Judicial Circuit Court from the sale of the house. Now you do the math. If a house is sold for $306,000 and I own 25%, there's four children, and it's supposed to be split for ways. You do the math. $70,000 at least, right? But they're going to tell me to go pick up $19,000. I'm like, y'all going to get my kitty correct. And I knew that there was some deception in the so-called sale of the house because these infomercials by Toby Smith kept coming on my YouTube feed saying, we can create fake LLCs and hide your property from people that are trying to sue you. So I knew my brother was a part of that. So I knew that the family home was still in our name. There was just a pseudonym on top of our name. So I just had to figure out how to get to the real information. And I'm still working on that now. My mom left 6 pieces of property and I ended up with 0. And my grandmother left me 2913 East 20th Avenue. And they corruptly put that in my cousin Toy's name. It was left me, but they decided I don't deserve anything. My children and I should walk the streets, sleep in laundromats, sleep at hostels, while grown people live in the house. Cousin Toy ain't raising no children. Fahim Black is about 25. No. Fahim Black is about, wait a minute. Fahim should be about 30. Jamal Black, her youngest son, should be about 25. He is in jail. He's incarcerated. Fahim Black married Renisha. Renisha became Renisha Black, and they moved out near Fishhawk somewhere. So he and his wife and their 3 children have a home. My grandmother gives me a home. And since I was evicted, my 4 children and I need to be reunited under one roof. But then they tried to steal that property from me. It's daylight now, so I'm going to wrap this up. The whole purpose of this conversation was to say to you, Sensei, I don't know by whose witchcraft you were being. Can you get up? Do you see me trying to pull things together? Get up for me, baby. Get up. Get up. Get up. Get up. I got the dog family is trying to get under the cover with me. Get all the way up, Manjaro. Come on. Get up. Get under the cover. Woo. This cover smells like wet dog. Okay, so Sensei East or Angola's daddy, my baby daddy. I know that some of the witches and warlocks have to be dead or maybe they're in jail because I can see now. And I don't know how I'm going to articulate to people the power of witchcraft. You all had me under some kind of blocking magic where I couldn't see the truth. And I don't know to who I owe this blessing that now I can see a little bit. I've stopped listening to tarot a lot because, you know, they are playing games and they take the same 20 themes and they just pass them through different people and say the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then I started asking myself, well, where are these themes coming from? Definitely, I thought some of it was being fed to them by CIA, FBI, you know, these governmental agencies that do the investigating. They give bits and pieces, and as you listen to it, you respond to those things, and then you can add corrections to the information. And then, of course, there are witches and warlocks, which you must be connected with. I'm thinking Thomas Stewart, some kind of way. And for the first time in this whole thing, I'm thinking some kind of way when you found out about me and Lawrence Alexander Cambridge, you came out of the woodworks. And maybe you were never in the woodworks. Maybe since you left in 2007, you have been clandestinely paying attention to your daughter and I. You're just not making yourself known. I don't know. But I want to say your daughter and I, we really deserve a break. We deserve for you to clear our name up, you know, my name up. I'm not dead. I'm not crazy. I don't have AIDS. So whatever lies y'all telling, y'all need to get me straight. Okay? That's the message. That's the message. Hey, boy, come on under here. It's a party. It's a party. It's a party. Lay down. So that's the message. This child's 18th birthday is coming. Make it so she can go out into the world with good credit. She has all of her teeth. And yes, she felt the black magic y'all were doing against her when y'all needed a sacrifice. And it seemed like you were willing to sacrifice your own daughter. Or maybe one of them sister wives was trying to sacrifice your daughter. But one thing I'm good at is fighting. So I trained your sister how. Your sister. You got a sister that's using my daughter's name? Oh. Well, we'll go through the identity theft steps and report any kind of identity theft. And don't be mad with us. We got to do what we got to do, just like you got to do what you think you got to do. All my children leave my bosom with good credit and all their teeth. And that's my gift to them. A lot of people feel like that's not a big deal, but that's a big deal. When you can leave your mama house and you ain't had no light bills in your name, no water bills in your name, no apartments in your name, no credit cards in your name, that's a big deal. To be able to walk out with zero credit is much better than walking away with negative credit. So that's my gift to my daughter. So whatever y'all been doing in Pennsylvania, New York, Lakeland, Florida, hopefully y'all ain't doing foolishness in Tampa, Florida. We're going to get her name cleared so that she can go out into the world and live a good life. I don't know if you're alive. I don't know if you're in jail. I don't know where you are. But I I want to say, do right by your daughter. And I know you have many daughters, so I'm talking about the daughter that you and I brought into this world. She's a wonderful person and she deserves it. I told her if she wants to meet you when she turns 18, that's up to her. So I told her to walk light and be careful. Watch everything because unfortunately, people become opportunistic as their life falls apart or doesn't work out or pan out the way they had it planned. So don't use my daughter, okay? Don't try to manipulate her. Don't try to use her as a sacrifice. You have probably, I wanted to say 20 heads of children, so you've had more children since her. She's no longer the baby. So don't use her. Don't misuse her. It's natural to want to know who your father is. Yeah, okay. So when I talk to her, I separate my sensei from her father. And I do that because I have fond memories of my sensei. And as far as my baby daddy, he's a deadbeat as far as I know. I know you got that. You can't hold them forever. I'll see them when they get 18 philosophy, but that's a real bad philosophy. In the words of a mother who has struggled to protect, provide, and prosper this child. And thank God we made it. I'm going to say we made it. Now, today is the 24th of January. She was born on the 25th of the month, February. So that's a month and a day. She'll be 18. And she needs a new iPad. I would say a MacBook. And you and your people around here stealing as much as y'all can get your hands on. And in the whole 18 years, you ain't come and give not $1. That's weird shit, man. But hey, what can I say? She's alive and well. Hotep. Is there anything else I need to say, Creator God? I guess I wanted to ask you, did y'all threaten those people? Because the churches that we go to, excuse me, they're looking like they don't want me to stand outside of the gate. They're fearing for my life. When we were at the Presbyterian church, the police was up and down the streets. Like, are you all threatening to hurt these people if they don't give you these pictures with this guy and I, or my daughter, this guy and I sitting together? Are the courts really believing your lies? Don't you think it's time you tell some truth? For her 18th birthday, see if you can muster it up in your soul. Do you still have a soul? I don't know. You might, you know, have sold your soul to the devil. I don't know. But tell the devil that you got to do one good deed for this child. And you're going to go to the courts and tell the truth. This child been with her mama the whole 18 years. The lady ain't never been crazy. The lady ain't never been a bad mom. We told those lies so that we could steal her children and steal her money and steal her trust fund. And Natalie wanted to steal her USF settlement. Just go ahead and tell them the whole truth. It's okay. You'd be amazed by how your karmic debt will be lightened just from one act of kindness. And you can consider this a 1 through 18 year birthday present. Going and clearing up her mama name, therefore clearing up her legacy and destiny. One fell swoop. Yeah. Don't tarry. Do it today. 1:27:27 on the timer. So this is Aileen Dorothea Atkins, 6010 North 32nd Street, Tampa, Florida 33610 is still my mailing address.